Good morning and welcome to today's live. Thank you, everyone, for jumping on and joining us here today. Hi, Katie. Hi, everyone on Facebook, and hello, everyone on Instagram. Thanks for joining us today. Today, we're going to be talking about lease expiries. And what we want to be talking about when we're talking about a lease expiry is what is the opportunity? And the opportunity is that this is a great time to consider what your business looks like and how you can then begin to transform it. So, our workplace environments are designed for the housing of our people. Now, in most businesses, the people are the most expensive asset on our business P&L, on our balance sheet. So if we're looking at that, and then our workplaces are then designed to support those people in going to work every day and doing their job, it makes good business sense to really understand how those people need to work and then what it is that we need to be doing from a workplace design perspective to support them, to enable them to actually perform at their best, and that we can then actually get the best out of those people so that our business can thrive. So, our environments have the opportunity to influence so many factors in terms of how we show up as individuals, but also how we then communicate, how information flows in our business, how we can collaborate together. So, it makes really good sense to understand those dynamics that exist within your organization and then create a space that enables and supports those in occurring. So, if you think about it, just by the placement of walls, you can actually create roadblocks in communication. You can develop barriers that then prohibit people from being able to communicate well. It can actually even slow down your organization and create silos within your business, which then prevent different departments being able to communicate together and to collaborate, which can actually have a really significant effect on your business. So there's a few things that have happened recently. Obviously, we've been through the pandemic and we're all starting to now re-enter into our workplaces. But this is a really great opportunity for you to start to reimagine what your business looks like. And I've seen everything happening at the moment, from knee-jerk reactions to going, oh, we're all going to go work from home and we're not going to need an office anymore, right through to, no, we're pretty happy with the way things always were and we're just going to continue on with that. Now, I think both extremes have opportunities within them. I think that going and looking at things as a knee-jerk reaction and going, everybody's just going to continue to work from home, has significant impacts on our businesses longer term. We've only been doing this a few months. I'm not sure that we're actually in the groove of things yet. I don't think we really understand the full implications of how everyone working remotely can actually impact on our businesses, on our collaboration, on our innovation, on our ability to connect and create together. It really does depend on your individual business. And those things need to be explored to see whether or not you are an organization that really needs those people in that same space to bounce ideas off each other, to connect and to collaborate, or you are an organization that can work, relatively dispersed and have a different scenario on how you all come together. Conversely, this is an opportunity for us to look at how our businesses actually operate and then to create an environment that really supports that. So not doing anything with this fantastic opportunity when you have the opportunity to relocate your business could also be a wasted opportunity. And I know I've said opportunity a few times then. So it is an opportunity. And I think that we should be really trying to embrace that. So the first step that you need to do is you need to get out your crystal ball. You need to start to rethink what your business could be like in the next 5 to 10 years. Because when you're going out and you're looking at a lease term, you are looking at a minimum 5-year commitment with options that extend beyond that, whether it's a 3-year option or another 5-year option. But ultimately, when you're investing that much time and energy into creating a new environment for your business, you want to be looking at it as a bit of a long-term solution, because you don't want to be upheavaling every 5 years and relocating. So taking that opportunity to look at, take a really good look at your business and go, what are your longer term strategic goals? What do you want to be doing as a business in the next 5 to 10 years? How do you want to be operating? Where do you want to be operating? What kind of work are you going to be doing? What new markets might you be expanding into? What kind of technology is going to be infused into your business, and how can that actually change your business? How can that support your people to work smarter? Are they going to need different types of spaces to be able to do that? Are you going to need a different style of workforce to what you have now with increased VR and AI type technology coming into our businesses? So there's a whole gamut of things that we need to be considering there. What kind of business growth are you going to have? Is technology going to enable your business to continue to grow without increasing your headcount? Or are you going to need to have more people in your business to enable your growth plans? What kind of clients are you going to be working with? Are they going to be the same type of clients that you work with now? How do you want to be communicating to them? Is it the same style of presentation that you have now in terms of your clientele? Are they the types of clientele that you're going to have going forward? And is the space going to support that? The way that you're going to be doing business and the way that you could be working could all be very, very different into the future. So this isn't an easy exercise. It does take a fair bit of commitment. It takes a fair bit of time, and it takes a few people to sit around a table and to have a conversation around what you think your workplace is going to look like in the future once you actually understand what your business could potentially look like and how you then need to create an environment that supports and enables those activities to occur. So when you can start to do that, we also need to then think about the fact that our space is going to need to adapt and to change over time with that, because, where we are now, if you think back 5 years, so much has changed. The way that we work and our opportunities have changed significantly. So I think that if you consider where you're going to be in 5 years' time, it could be very different to where you actually imagine that to be in 5 years' time. And so the space that you need to be creating needs to be quite flexible. It needs to be really adaptable. And it just needs to be able to transform with you and to flex and contract as your business does. So they're all things that we need to be thinking about as we go through. The other thing you need to be thinking about is doing a review of how you use your existing space. So our space will change over time, just as our business changes. And so when you look back at how you designed your workplace when you first moved in, what's changed in that space over that time? Often meeting rooms have been either turned into offices, breakout areas have been removed to create new workspaces. We've got outdated filing systems. We may have outdated processes sitting in our business. The way that people actually work today is very different to how we worked 5 years ago. The technology that we have is very different. Previously we had L-shaped workstations with our really large CPU monitors sort of wedged into the corners of them. Now we're on really tiny little flat screens. So the way that our desks even need to be set up is completely different to how they used to be in the past. So taking the opportunity to look at how your space has transformed over time, how your people are actually interacting now, and where is there opportunity here for us to actually do things better. And, even just looking at our filing systems, is there stuff in there that shouldn't be there? Should we have archived that maybe a few years ago, put it off site, destroyed it? There's all sorts of opportunities I find when we go into workplaces and we start looking at what's actually there to transform how that whole space is actually coming together. To give you a bit of an example of how this actually comes to life, when we were working with Livingstone's, they were 36 people in 36 offices. Now, if we had not completely reimagined and unpacked that business to see how they actually worked, we would have been rebuilding something very similar to what they had actually located out of. Instead, by actually understanding the dynamics that existed in their organization, who actually worked there, how they worked, the way they needed to collaborate, when they were in the office, what kind of client interaction they had, we actually ended up with a completely agile work environment that supported a really broad range of working types and styles so that everybody had space to be able to work the way that they wanted to work when they needed to. It was a significant transformation, but if we hadn't taken the opportunity to really look at how people were working now, we would have just done the same thing that we'd always done. And that's not always going to be the best solution. The third thing we need to be looking at is engaging with our people. So a lot of organizations have a reluctance to engage with their people, but I actually find this to be a really empowering process, and it actually sets your business up for so much more success as you transition through this whole process. So your people are at the front line. They see all the day-to-day problems. They know exactly where the issues are in your business. They know what they need to be able to get their job done. As our managers, we're often sitting a bit far more removed from that, and we're not seeing all of those day-to-day issues. And so we can then start to look at those challenges that they are then experiencing and look at how the actual environment is affecting that. How is the environment impacting on those challenges, and where can we remove some of those roadblocks to make this a little bit easier for them? They're also going to have a lot of ideas around how you can make change in your business so that it can affect faster communication, better collaboration. So by actually engaging with people, you'll find that you're going to get a significant return on that investment, because they're going to be quite knowledgeable about how we need to be looking at that. Now, one of the concerns that I find with people who don't want to engage their people, it's because they feel like once they've actually asked for somebody's opinion, they're obligated to do what those opinions are. And that comes down to just about how we structure those conversations, structuring them in terms of the fact that they are a fact-finding exercise, that we want to understand where the challenges are in the organisation, what it is that we can do to support them, but also prefacing it that, we'll be reviewing all of the information we receive and then adopting what's going to work best for the business. And then it's about communicating back to them about, well, we've adopted X, Y, and Z, but we're unfortunately unable to do A, B, and C because of these reasons. And what I've found is most people are really receptive to that because A, they've been consulted, they've had a voice, their opinion has been heard, and it's been acknowledged that, operationally as a business, we're just unable to accommodate some of these requirements. So I think it's really important that we actually do engage with our people and then manage those expectations in terms of how we communicate back to them what we can and we cannot achieve. The fourth thing is to develop a very prescriptive space brief. Now, it's a bit like when you decide to buy a new home. You've already got a vision in mind of what you want that home to look like. You've got a bit of an idea of what that style might be. You know what suburb you might want to live in. You know how many bedrooms and bathrooms you're going to need. You're thinking about how close it is going to be to schools for the kids, and even, access to public transport. All of those same rules apply when you are looking at a commercial workplace environment. So you want to know where you want to be. You want to know what kind of style of building you want to be in. You want to know what amenities that building has. Does it have good end-of-trip facilities? How close is it to public transport? You want to know all of that information so that when you go out to the market, you're able to narrow things down. Just as there's many houses on the market, there's also quite a lot of space in terms of your commercial property that you can choose from. So you need to have a very clear understanding of what it is that you're looking for so that you can, avoid wasting your time and have that narrowed down really, really quickly and be able to make some really clear decisions on what it is that you want to be making in terms of the property that you want to be sourcing. And so we want to be looking at how we can accommodate all of that. If you're going to need to be going over multiple floors, what is the minimum floor plate size that is going to accommodate your teams to be able to co-locate in the way that they need to? So you need to have been able to do your homework to know exactly who needs to sit with who, how much space those guys need, and then what that looks like from a floor plate design. You also need to understand, what is the type of work environment that you want to be creating? Is it going to be a traditional workplace environment? Is it agile? Is it more of a work club? So you're bringing people together just to purely collaborate and connect and communicate, and then they're doing their work remotely. What kind of workplace environment are you wanting to create? Because the shape and size of the floor plate is going to impact on that, the number of columns that are in there, how those columns are positioned. All of these things have a significant impact on the actual selection of your building. And if you don't have a clear brief, it's going to make it difficult to do that. To give you an example of how that can actually impact, we were working with one client and we fortunately had a very prescriptive space brief. And on paper, one of the buildings that was in their selection criteria looked like the most favourable building for them to select. However, when we started to actually dig a bit deeper into that, the way that they needed to actually work in that building wouldn't be able to be accommodated because the floor plates weren't deep enough. And so they couldn't fit everything that they needed to in there without taking additional floors. So that was actually going to have a significant financial impact on them, but it wasn't able to be identified on paper at first glance until we started to apply the metrics of their space brief. So that's why it's really important to have that sort of considered before you're heading out to market and deciding to purchase and commit to a lease in that space. And the final thing is that I don't believe you should be doing it alone. Build your team around you. So when you're going out and you're leasing commercial space, there are a number of consultants and people that you need to have in your corner to help you get across the line and to help you get the best outcome. Now, the first person that I would always recommend you get involved is a workplace strategist. And at a very minimum, it should be your interior designer. You're going to need them at one point or another along the process to design the commercial requirements of your business and to get you all of the building approvals and then be able to get you the actual construction and the building of the workplace completed. So engaging with them as early as possible so that you can start to have some support to building your brief, to then have them on your team so that they can be looking at the buildings with you and actually understanding what is going to work and what is not going to work for you as a business before you go and commit to that lease. The other people that you need to have with you is your tenant advocate. Now, your advocate is going to be doing all of your negotiating on your behalf. They are going to be giving you the widest range of options in regards to what the property market has to offer you. And they can then help negotiate the best terms of agreement for you because they know how to do this. That's what they do every day. And you will find that you will get far better outcomes by engaging with them and enabling them to be your voice and negotiating on your behalf. So whilst there is an investment that comes with both of those parties up front, you will reap those rewards tenfold in making the right decision and getting the best commercial outcomes for your business as you move forward. Now, a really interesting fact is that the 5 in your budget, so if you've got a budget for your workplace environment, those first 5% of that you invest in your consultant team actually determine 65% of the cost of your budget. So those people that you have at the front end, invest in them wisely because they have the most significant impact on how the cost of your workplace actually plays out. And I'll put some links into the Facebook group so that you can see exactly what I'm speaking about here. But at the beginning of your project, your design team and your tenant advocate determine 65% of your project spend, yet they are only 5% of your actual overall cost. So it may pay to pay a little bit more for your tenant advocate and for your design team and your workplace strategist at the front end because they are going to be able to significantly work in your favor as that project rolls out. So you're going to need to be expending those costs, and you don't want to be taking on too much space because that's going to be an operational overhead that will have impacts on your business, both from a financial perspective, but also from an operational perspective. Your teams are going to be spread out. You're not going to have that energy in there, but also then you could be taking too little space, and then you've got issues with growth and you won't be able to expand. Your people are going to get squeezed and your environment just won't be as pleasant as it was previously, or it could actually be just the wrong shape. The building might not be the right shape for you. Having a central core might split your teams. Having columns might not enable you to be able to use that space as efficiently as possible. So they're my 5 tips on how you can actually look at your space and have a really much more deeper understanding of how you can get the most out of it before you go out to market and start to look at committing to a new lease. This really is an opportunity for you to transform your business. It's an opportunity for change. And these opportunities don't come along very often. As I said, 5 to 10 to maybe 15 years could be the time before you'll get to do this again. So we want to make sure that you invest in it as much as you possibly can to enable you to maximize your opportunity and really set your business up for success for those next 5 to 10 years. If anyone has any comments, just pop them in the comment box. While you're doing that, I'll give you a bit of an update on where everything's at. So the podcast is actually launching this week, so I'm super excited about that. So stay tuned. It's called Work Life by Design. You'll find it on iTunes and Spotify and all the other great streaming spaces. So check in on that. The first episode is launching this week, and then we'll be following up with our next episodes next week. And we'll be talking everything from value-based businesses to organizational psychology to strategy and how you can start to transform your business using design. I've got some great thought leaders in this space, from research academics to past clients to partners in our business. So we've got a really great spread of people there who have contributed to the podcast so far. So I can't wait to share that with you. And the other exciting thing that we've got happening is that I'm actually launching our get your future workplace ready. And the reason we've decided to do that is because we want to be able to provide as much of this information to as many people as possible to ensure that you are maximizing that opportunity in our workplaces, and we are creating really great work environments for everybody, for us for now and for our future generations. So having as much knowledge as possible around how we can create our workplace environments that will support our people, it will support our businesses, and it helps us be sustainable over a longer period of time. I want to share as many tips and tricks and tools of the trade as possible so that we can all have those opportunities in our workplace environments. So thank you everyone for joining us today. If there's no further questions, I will jump off, and I look forward to catching up with all you next week. And next week, I'm looking at having a discussion around what are your options in terms of your workplace environment. And we spoke about it very, very briefly just then. You know, we've got traditional, we've got agile, we've got work clubs. What are those new structures of our workplace environments as we head into the new future? And I look forward to discussing that with you next week. And please jump into the Facebook community, and I look forward to connecting with you there. Bye.